Okay, good evening, everyone. It is Friday, December the 20th. Hard to believe that we're already at this time of year. So this is going to be the final video of 2024, unless something comes up. This is going to be the final video of 2024. As I'm going to take a couple of weeks off from doing these videos. And just so everyone knows, I have not forgotten about demonstrating the Hover Air drone, but I've had a lot on my mind, and I've had a lot of things going on over the past month or so, and so I just haven't had the energy to do it. And plus, my GoPro's acting weird. I've got to get sighted help to repair the camera with my phone. So I had to unpair it because I was having some technical difficulties. So I'm gonna go get that repaired, and maybe I'll do a bonus. It really depends on how I feel. It really does. But I promise that in early 2025, I will do a demo of that drone, because I know that there's a lot of interest in it. And I know that I know that there are many people that want to hear about it. And I promise I have not forgotten. So first of all, a couple of general, I want to do a cochlear implant progress update now. I'm going to do several things in this video, but first I'm going to talk about how I've been doing. So I can't remember if I did a video after Thanksgiving or not. If I did, and I hope that all of you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Which, by the way, Thanksgiving was pretty uneventful for me. I don't like most of what people eat at Thanksgiving, so there was a Pizza Hut that was open. And so I had pizza from Pizza Hut and pumpkin pie from Costco. Oh, okay, I think I did talk about that. Never mind. Okay, so I want to talk about a couple of real world experiences that I had as far as dealing with the implant. I have good days and I have bad days with it. I will say there are days when I know that my brain is depending on the implant more than the hearing aid when I'm wearing them together. And there are days when I know that I'm hearing better with the hearing aid. There are still a lot of things that are really hard to listen to. Last week, I did several things. Last Friday, I went to buy paratransit tickets from our transit authority, and I had to buy them from there because thanks to my ridiculously high cable bill of $330, I was not able to buy them online when I needed them. Thankfully, we got a Christmas bonus last Friday, and so I was able to use it to buy strips of prepaid vouchers, and so that was good. However, I was reminded of just how early I am along in this process when it was very hard to understand certain people that were trying to talk to me, and they had to raise their voices a little bit in an otherwise quiet room. And when they were trying to ask me stuff, and it was hard for me to understand them. So I had to ask them to sometimes lean over the counter, and had to sometimes ask the woman to lean over the counter and talk to me. And later on, I switched to T-Mobile last Friday night, both for home internet and for cell service. I switched back to T-Mobile. I got off T-Mobile in April of this year for a few months because of an offer that Spectrum gave me. And so I went to Spectrum Mobile, but because I was canceling my entire Spectrum service, internet, television, and home phone, I knew that I was going to lose access to that. So I went to T-Mobile, and when I was at the T-Mobile store, the person that I needed to talk to was on the side where my implant was. And so it was really weird having to turn around a little bit or turn my head a little bit so that he was more toward my left-hand side. So there are times where I still struggle to understand speech, even with the hearing aid in. I guess I'm kind of in that in-between phase, where your brain is trying to get used to hearing a different way, and so it doesn't know what it's supposed to be processing. I mean, that's probably the best way I can describe it. And so it was a little awkward. And then these past couple of weeks, I've also been going to church dinners during the season of Advent. We had our last one this past Wednesday. And talking to people was sometimes difficult during the meals. I know I think I talked about the first one where a woman was sitting on my right and was trying to ask me how things were going, and I felt odd having to turn my head a certain way, having to turn my head, and it just felt weird. But thankfully, people have been very understanding about that. The way that I listen to sermons in my very echoey church sanctuary is that I tune into our YouTube live stream. The pastor was kind enough to give me access to the church's Wi-Fi network. And so I connect to our Wi-Fi because I only get one bar in that church of cell service. And that was with both T-Mobile and Verizon, which is what Spectrum Mobile uses. I was only getting one bar. So, so he let me use the Wi-Fi, and I tune into the live stream of the sermon and then set the ambient volume of the implant and the hearing aid to 0. And so that it only tunes in, so that I am only listening to the stream. I do that with my phone, just for people that are curious. My implant is connected to my processor is connected to my phone, as is my hearing aid. I have another follow-up at the end of next month with the audiologist, but there's something else that has cropped up that nobody can figure out. So those of you that have been following this channel long enough may remember this past October, when I stayed at an extended stay America for a week, basically 7 nights and 8 days. I don't know if you'd call it 8 days, because on the Saturday morning I woke up and checked out and came back here. But at the time, we all thought that it was the guy that was living above me cranking up his music loud that was making everything vibrate. And please don't get me wrong, there were times when he was doing it, and it was obvious, and other people in the building, said it as well. However, I was still feeling vibrations at the hotel. And what I have come to realize is that for some weird reason, this started about 7 or 8 days after my implant was activated. Everything, I feel like my whole body is vibrating almost all the time, especially my back and chest. Like, even when I'm sitting down right now, I still feel faint vibrations, and no one else can feel it. I have had times where at work, when I thought that we have a lot of construction going on in our building right now at work, and I thought that I was feeling the construction of the building, and everybody's like, we're not feeling anything. We're not feeling any rumbling. Like, and no one can figure out what's causing it. I talked to my surgeon who is I talked to the surgeon. He didn't know. The audiologist didn't know. The audiologist doesn't know. We don't know what's happening. The most I could get is a Valium prescription, which I have been using when it gets really bad. And it has caused my anxiety to go up. It's been harder to sleep. And it's not fun. When I'm laying down is when I really feel it. I mean, my apartment complex manager even went so far as asking the person below me if he was doing anything, but that guy doesn't even have a sound system. So we know, I am beginning to realize that it's probably something internal. And I don't know what it is. Nobody seems to know what it is. And so, I've just been tolerating it pretty much, doing what I can to distract myself from it. And, I'm going to try to go see a doctor after New Year's. My health insurance will be changing. And so I'm waiting until after New Year's for when the new plan takes effect. I'm changing health insurance plans to be on the PPO plan, which has a lower deductible, even though it's higher premiums with co-pays. I think I've been told that the out-of-pocket costs are going to be lower, and I need that right now because when I have these implant follow-ups, they charge, when I have these appointments related to my implant, the insurance company gets billed. And so these appointments are not cheap. And on the high deductible plan, if it was to reset my deductible, I would have had to pay everything in order to, I would have had to pay for everything for a long time. So I decided to switch to our company's premium plan. And a lot of people have told me that was the right thing to do. Other people that I've talked to, they said that was the right thing to do because you're going to have lower costs and the co-pays are going to help you. And so, I'm glad about that. But it really has not been hard. That's one of the reasons why I haven't really had the motivation to do a lot of videos, is because of dealing with this. And so it's, that's pretty much what's been going on. I do have a follow-up in regards to the story of that person. He is just about moved out. He is just about moved out. I think he's staying. I think he's been sleeping here for a little bit. He's been sleeping here to kind of to finish out his lease, but most of his stuff is moved out. And, so that is one thing about that. Now, I want to also make one thing very clear. And this is not an angry thing, okay? I just want to explain something. There were people that thought, when I put the video up about this in October, there were people that thought that I was merely complaining about something and, just moaning about it. Now, part of me was, but here's the thing. They were already working on evicting him. I'm not going to talk about what was going on out of respect for the privacy of those involved. But what I am going to tell you is that if he had not chosen to move out, he would have been eventually evicted, because there were things going on that I didn't even know about until I can't remember if it was before that video was made or after that came to light. And so this was not about, an angry tenant trying to get somebody evicted for loud music. This was, he already had a case building up against him for other things that were going on. And so that's all I'm going to say about that, because, again, I'm not going to tell people, I'm not going to talk about what happened out of respect for the privacy of those involved. There were some disgusting things that he was doing, that it was terrible. That's all I'm going to say about that. But, even if he has been back here, his stereo is obviously gone because he hasn't used it. I thought I heard him packing it up on about a month ago. I thought I heard him packing it up because I heard him moving stuff around up there when I was tuning into a rodeo on the Cowboy Channel. And so anyhow, and I am also looking into moving. I have applied to a place in Clarksville, Indiana, which is just across the river. They have about a 6-month waiting list. I was told it was 6 months minimum. Could be sooner, could be later. The manager doesn't seem to think it's going to be longer than 7 or 8 months. But I am looking into moving into a place for seniors and those with disabilities. And even though I am employed full-time, I meet the qualifications because of the income, the income cap at this place is very generous. And so at the end of October, I walked in to that place to submit my application, and I knew that was the place that, if possible, I wanted to be at. Because it was quiet, it was very, very peaceful, and while I didn't get to tour an apartment, sometimes when you know, and the thing that I also appreciate about it is that it is secure. It has controlled access, and that's one thing that I have not felt safe in this apartment complex for the past few months. Not just because of what was going on above me, but because of other things too. The vibe has just gone downhill, and I don't feel safe here anymore. To the point, I dread coming home from work now, because it's just got a bad vibe to it now, and it's not what it used to be. And I don't say that to complain. I'm not going to go into detail again, but I don't feel safe living here anymore. And when I walked into the place that I am applying for, I knew that I I knew that things were going to be okay if I got a place there. It's in a good neighborhood. It's secure, and it's peaceful, which is really what I could use right now. And the staff there that I talked to were they were so kind. You know, when I told them what I was going through, they said we're gonna do what we can to help you. They said we want you to move. We want you to be able to move here, and you can feel safe. And you know, I really appreciated that. And it is still within the paratransit service area, so I still can get to and from work. I can still commute and whatever. I can still live. I can still live. I can still live and work. You know, I'm well aware that I'm probably going to be the youngest resident in that building, or at least one of them. But I really feel that a place like that is the best place for me right now. And, you know, I'm not getting in. I'm getting in because of the combination of hearing and visual impairment more than anything else. It's not one disability over the other. It's a combination of the two. And she said, yeah, you do qualify. You use a cane, you have an implant, and you're having a hard time, and you're having a hard time getting around. And she said, yeah, as far as we're concerned, you qualify. And but it needed to be cleared with with their head office in California, because this is run by a foundation, and they put me on the waiting list. Now there is a more detailed review that will take place when it gets closer to my move-in date, where they will go over everything and will finalize everything, and so there may still be a chance that I get disqualified, but I have a feeling in my heart that this is probably the place where I'm going to end up. And I'm very I'm counting down the days, frankly, until I get the call to come in for an interview. I don't know how long it's going to be. You know, I did hear about a job today that I will be applying for that will allow me to return to Texas to be near family, so I will apply for that. Although I don't expect to get it, but it doesn't hurt to apply. It's a 100% remote position. So, that's that. And some people may say that I'm getting a little bit too personal, but I've had a lot of people ask me how things are going, you know, with the implant and whatever. And the reason I wanted to talk about that vibration stuff is because I don't know if it's related to it or not. I mean, I did read somewhere that sometimes the nerve stimulation of the implant will cause nearby nerves to also be stimulated, which causes this, but that's rare. And the thing about it is, like, nobody can figure out what the cause of it is. I mean, even when I'm walking around, it feels like I'm vibrating. It feels like everything is shaking, and it's really, I don't know what it is. And like I said, I'm going to try to get into a doctor after New Year's to get, or at least either to get a prescription of something stronger than Valium, or get some tests done, or something like that. I don't know. But I wanted to be transparent about that so that people had an idea of a lot of what's been going on. So anyway, I also thought it would be fun to do a recap of the year 2024, because this will be the final video of 2024 unless something happens. I think it's safe to say that for many people, 2024 has been like the year from hell, the horrible, horrible year. And one of my friends on Mastodon put it best earlier today. And by the way, for those of you that follow me on Mastodon, I am so sorry for being out of commission for the last month or so. I was having technical difficulties with my instance. I switched domain hosting providers, and I only got the issue fixed last week. So that's just, yeah. So I'm sorry about that. But everything is okay now. For those of you that are seeing this that follow me on Mastodon, I did post some videos. I did post a couple of videos since my instance went offline for a little bit. But excuse me. So I will say this: the year started off really fun. I went to SeaWorld San Antonio with the South Central chapter of the American Coaster Enthusiast for their annual Winterfest event on the last Saturday in January, and absolutely loved it. Had an absolute blast. Got to ride four new roller coasters to start out the year. It was a great time. Hanging out with I believe it was our operations director and a couple of others. Oh no, not operations director. It was she does something else. But hanging out with her and she introduced me to the Texas Stingray wooden roller coaster, which is now one of my absolute favorites. A phenomenal ride. And riding the other three coasters that were open during our exclusive ride time was an absolute blast, and things were okay. And then of course, and I was looking forward to another year of riding rides and whatever, maybe going to a couple of new amusement parks, which I did do back in May. I went to Dollywood and some other attractions around the Pigeon Forge area, and I did have a blast doing that. But then March happened, and I believe it was March 18th, if I remember correctly, was the day. And that was when I went in for my annual hearing test, and the audiologist came to me after the hearing test, and she said you need a cochlear implant. Because your right hearing aid is no longer, you're no longer able to hear very well with it. Your comprehension has dropped below 60%. And I mean, at first I was kind of in denial. It was like, no. I mean, even though she's like, no, you need an implant, and you need it soon. And as a musician and as an organist and as someone who loves music, I mean, it was hard to digest that. And then, we got about a month later, we got my parents on a conference call, and we told them what was going to happen and what we needed to do. And then a couple of weeks later, I met with the surgeon who would perform my operation. I had a preliminary consultation. A month later, or it may have been about 3 weeks later. I don't know. I can't remember right now. Had a CAT scan, a CT scan, and next thing I know, August 30th is on the calendar as the day of the operation. And I knew that there was going to be no turning back. once the date got set. And, the highlight of this year, I think, for me was going to two new parks, going to SeaWorld San Antonio, going to Dollywood, and riding mountain coasters for the first time, which I did not think I was going to be able to do as a blind person. And I got to ride a Soaring Eagle drop tower, which is another thing that I never thought I would be able to do. For those that wondering, it's a drop tower that only has seat belts for restraints, and it was a dang cool experience. It really was. So, but there was always a sense of dread, especially during the summer. I went to Kings Island, I think, once. It was either once or twice. I can't remember. I think it was only once. And then I went to Kentucky Kingdom. I didn't go to Kentucky Kingdom at all, which is weird because Kentucky Kingdom is my home park. But I just didn't have the motivation to go this year. I just, when you get that kind of news, it changes a lot of things. And then, of course, August 30th happened. I started this channel, as many of you know, and August 30th happened. And I was on my way to the hospital before the sun came up to have this procedure done. And woke up from it deaf in the right ear, in my right ear, which I had been told was going to happen. And it's ever since that point, it has been one of the hardest seasons of my entire life, probably, have been these past 4 months. Or should I say 3? The month of September was recuperating from it and just relaxing. I knew I was going to have a hard time doing my job with only one hearing aid, and so I got permission to get on short-term disability for a month and a week. And so September was the calm before the storm, pretty much. Yes, I had a period of dizziness, as I mentioned in a video, and that was when my neighbor above me started turning his loud music back on. But after the implant was activated, I would say has been some of the roughest time was going through this and realizing that you're not going to hear the same way again, that I'm not going to hear the same way again. Trying to listen to music with it and almost crying because I couldn't make anything out. Having to deal with what I have now come to believe are these weird internal vibration symptoms that nobody can explain. It's very I'm not sure what he's doing up there. He may be packing up. He may be packing stuff up. I don't know. But because he's been gradually moving his stuff out over the past few weeks, so it's not, I think he has to be out by the end of December, but I can't remember. But anyhow, and I know that my social skills have gone downhill because it's been harder to talk to people, knowing that it was going to be hard to understand them. It was hard. It's been hard to talk to people. Even with the hearing aid in, it's still hard to talk to people. It's very, the only way that somebody can really understand what this is like is if you get this done. And I don't wish this on anybody. That's why I so passionately tell people now that they need to preserve their hearing at all costs. Because getting one of these is life altering. And I know that in the near future, I'm going to have to get my other ear implanted. I'm very thankful that the doctors put their feet down and said, you're going to get one because you need to adjust to one before you take that plunge. And, one of them, he said, you're right. You're going to need a second. You're going to need another one. You're going to need your other ear implanted sooner rather than later. But he said, you need to adjust to one. Because once you get these things, you don't look back. You can't reverse it. I mean, if the implants are removed, you're deaf. That's basically at least in my case, I would be deaf. But the recovery is slow, and I know that I have a very long way to go. The robotic sound, the robotic timbre of a lot of sounds is starting to go away, but it's still there, and it's still hard to understand people at most of the time. But it is getting better slowly. And, again, that was something I'd been told. They said it's going to take time for your brain to adapt to this way of hearing. And I believe it. But I am very slowly starting to notice results very slowly. I know for most people it takes 3 to 6 months, and December 30th will be the 3 month mark for me, because I got it activated on, September to October to November. I'll be at the 3 month mark on December 30th. And I am beginning to notice, that things are becoming clearer, but it is very slow. And it's something that I know I have to be patient with. So, it's just something that I've had to do. And, going back to church was one of the best things. I'm very thankful to have a very supportive church family. And I know that they've been praying for me ever since August, when I was preparing for surgery. I can remember even the Sunday before and a couple of weeks before. And it's been very humbling. And I will say that I do not think that I could have gotten through this. I don't think I could have gotten through this without God's love in my life. I really do not. I don't think that I could have gotten through without the grace of God and the prayers that people have offered. And I got cleared to ride roller coasters again last month, which I'm excited. I'm hoping to do more, to do a few more coaster rides in 2025. I'm hoping to do a few more. Possibly going to No Coaster Con 2025 in Chicago next month. Now, I will not be doing video from that because one of the rules of that particular event is that they don't want video being shot while the event is going on. So I will not be making video, but maybe I'll do a recap the week after or something. But I might also do some. If I go do some of the indoor roller coasters in the Chicago area, though, I may try to get some footage of those. I may try to get some point of view videos, do my first coaster videos, and drone footage. I got plans for that drone. I'm going to have the drone follow me around on the bumper cars at one of the at some point next year. So, yeah, if I can find a set of bumper cars, I'm going to have the drone follow me around on them. But anyway, that's beside the point. So I'm looking forward to 2025. I certainly hope and pray that it is a better year than this year was. I want to I also want to thank everybody for subscribing to this channel and giving me the support that you have. And to everybody on my social media accounts that has been watching these, your support has meant more than you know, and I'm very thankful to know all of you, and I appreciate everything, all of your prayers, all of your encouragement through these past few months. So, that being said, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whichever one you celebrate. And I hope that you all have a happy new year and a blessed and prosperous 2025. I think a lot of us, myself included, are hoping and praying that 2025 is a better year than 2024 was. I mean, I know it's going to be rough for me in 2025. But, I'm more than likely going to have to get the second implant in probably late 2025. But I've accepted the fact that this is going to have to be done. I'm unfortunately at this point in my hearing loss journey where I have to get both ears implanted, and I know that it's going to take some. I know that it's going to take some getting used to, but I know that with God's help, I will make it through. In other news, I want to thank everybody on my channel who has prayed for Shane over at Adventures in Blind Videography. I'm not going to, it's his story to tell if he chooses to tell it, so I'm not going to talk about that I'm not going to talk about what he's been dealing with on this channel, but let's just say that he and his wife got some very encouraging news and things are looking hopeful. So, I'm Shane, I hope you forgive me for this, but my love of Southern gospel music, and I can't help but think of that song, prayer is the key to heaven, but faith unlocks the door. And I think a lot of people, like you are putting you and your wife in God's hands. And another song I've been thinking of that's been on my mind a lot is Where No One Stands Alone. I think that is one of the best prayer songs ever written. Mosey Lister was spirit-filled when he wrote that song, I believe. And it just, the lyrics, they've resonated with me over the past few months, and I'm sure they resonate with you too. Anyway, so a couple of things to close. What you can expect in 2025. Well, first of all, as I mentioned, I do promise to do a demonstration of the Hover Air drone in early 2025. I don't know when it's going to be, but I promise you I will demonstrate the drone. I will show you how it works. I will show people how it works. And now what I will say is that I'm not going to demonstrate the app, the Hover Air X1 app, in the video. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a basic overview of how it works and what you can do with it. I will give you pointers about the app, but I will not show you the app. I will show you the drone. And I want to say, because I know that there are a lot of blind people that I have talked to are very excited about the prospect of an accessible drone. This is not what I think some of you are hoping it to be. And I'll explain better in the video, but I'm just saying that for most people, this may not be a good idea to buy one of these. Not only are they, not only is the X1 Pro Max, the one that I have, expensive as heck, but also because it really is intended for a certain demographic. The X1 Pro and Pro Max are really intended for a certain niche group of content creators that do a lot of action stuff. And I'm not saying you can't use them for other things, but I'm just saying that they are really intended for content creation. You know, you can use it as a flying selfie camera, which is what the original X1 was marketed as, but which is still on sale, by the way. But this is not going to be for most people. I hope that you enjoy the demo, and I hope that you get stuff out of the demo. But I'm just saying that this is not a good idea for a lot of people, unless you want to do hands. You know, we have the Meta Ray-Ban smart glasses now for hands-free video, which I think is going to be good for most people. The reason that I got the drone is because of some plans that I have for this channel, where I can just let it go do its thing and take video. But I'll explain more when I get to the when I actually do the demo. And by the way, I also want to give a shout out to the Evil Chocolate Cookie. She's another blind content creator, one of the funniest people that I have ever talked to. Very passionate, and she's been doing some pretty funny AI-generated rap battles on her channel lately over the past couple of days. It's been really, really hilarious. She's a gamer, and she posted a video a while back called From the Best Out There to Just Don't Care, that, in my opinion, perfectly encapsulates the frustration that so many of us feel when it comes to Apple accessibility. I have to use Apple iPhone. I have to use an iPhone right now because I still wear a made-for-iPhone hearing aid. When I get the second implant, and by that time, Braille display support for newer displays should be on Android, I will be making the leap to Android. But right now I'm chained to the iPhone. But I could rant for hours about how I feel Apple doesn't care about making things accessible anymore. They only let me say, they care more about the money than they do about the customer, and it's tragic. It really is. But anyway, that's beside the point. So anyway, but go check out the Evil Chocolate Cookie if you want to check out her channel. Now, I will say, if you're okay, never mind. I lost my train of thought. But anyway, so I want to plug them, and also a channel called Guiding Through Blindness also is a really good one I stumbled across, and Carry on Accessibility. Those are a couple that I've stumbled across. A couple of coaster-related channels that I have come to love. You know, I've discovered some really good roller coaster channels over the past couple of months, and maybe I'll plug them in the future. But I also am beginning to be followed by a lot of coaster enthusiast content creators on Instagram, which has been very cool to see, meeting other like-minded people on Instagram It's been a lot of fun. Um, so anyway, that will do it for this video. Again, I want to thank everybody for all the support that they have given me over the past few months. It has meant more than you will ever realize. And I want to wish everybody a blessed holiday and a wonderful and happy new year. I will say my plans for Christmas, I have to be back at work next Thursday, so I will be staying here in Louisville. We get Christmas Eve and Christmas Day off. My older sister is going to be coming up here from Nashville. We're going to have lunch together. And she's going to bring stuff and heat it up in the microwave, and we're going to have a lunch together. Maybe sit around and talk for a little bit and whatever. But we both have to be back at work early the next morning, so it's going to be a fairly quick. Day. And my mother's going to be coming up here at some point next weekend. I don't know when, either next Friday or Saturday. I have to work next Friday. If she comes on Friday night, or she may come on Saturday. I don't know. We'll see. But she's going to be coming up here. And then the week after, I work on the 30th and 31st. I get January 1st off, and then I work the 2nd, and then I have the 3rd off. It's a really bizarre schedule. And so I'm actually kind of looking forward to the holiday season being over, believe it or not. I actually kind of am, because it's been rough not listening to a lot of holiday music like I usually do. It's been weird. It's been hard. What a lot of people don't talk about is the grief that comes with getting one of these implants, because you lost part of yourself, and you know that it won't come back, and you won't hear the same way again. And listening to holiday music has been kind of bittersweet. I did listen to some, but not a lot, because it's just hard. So anyway, in closing, thanks everybody again. And I am not going anywhere on this channel. I also am starting to play with Suno AI. It's an AI music service that you give it prompts and it creates songs and stuff like that. And I might actually do some Suno stuff and put it up on this channel. I might actually do some stuff with Suno. So you have that to look forward to. I'm still learning how to use it, but I may still do some stuff with it. But anyway, that is it for the final video of 2024. And again, I hope everybody has a blessed holiday and a happy new year. And see you on the other side in 2025. Thanks again for watching, and take care.